Hello everybody, and how are we doing today? I've got a best of 3 for you all from the King of Battles qualifiers. We're going through some replays at the moment just because DreamHack is currently on, so I'm not live streaming it as much. So to keep the YouTube content rolling, we've got some replays from the King of Battles event. Starting off in the qualifiers, we'll go through to the main event in due course as well, just sifting through and figuring out which matches I want to cast. Let's do some intros very quickly and get this underway. Bottom left side, from Kaizi Gaming, the blue Zerg player, your Katowice runner-up, it is Reynor. I mentioned he's the Katowice runner-up because he beat this man in the semi-finals of that run, and he was down 0-2. So HeroMarine, our red Terror in the top right, led that semi-final 2-0. What a turnaround it was from Reynor. But what a performance from HeroMarine as well in IEM Katowice to get to that stage anyway. Just, I mean, performance of a lifetime, to say the least. So, yeah, great to see him doing so well. And let's see if he can bring the fire in this best of 3 series. It's a qualifying match for King of Battles, and he is going to open Command Center first. So if you don't know what King of Battles is, it's a ESL Pro Tour partnered event, so it gives out ESL Pro Tour points. It's run by AlphaX. I believe the overall prize pool is $15,000. This was played at the very end of April, so I appreciate that this is maybe a couple weeks late coming through in terms of, like I say, kind of casting it later on. But that's just because I wanted to make sure that I didn't really remember any of the games in case I'd watched any and stuff, just so that when I do cast them, I can cast them with full authenticity, get excited, and all of that fun stuff. So I really don't remember these results or anything. What I do know is that this is an upper bracket qualifying match, and I believe the second European qualifier, so this is a chance to get into the main event, basically. That's what's on the line right here. Then the main event is 16 players, 4 groups into a playoff bracket. And I just want to quickly mention that this one is, I haven't done this in a while, this is a YouTube exclusive, and it really is as well. A lot of the time when I'm casting extra matches for YouTube, I just do it at the end of like my usual Twitch content, so I just stay live, because why the hell not? But this truly is a YouTube exclusive cast. This is not being streamed live to Twitch or anything. So hello YouTube, how are you doing? This could probably going to be a pretty common occurrence this month at least because of DreamHack. But I would love to bring the YouTube exclusive stuff back. At least, you know, like once a week maybe twice a week if my schedule allows. It's something that I always allow doing. It's something that gives me a different way of casting because I don't have to be, you know, the entertainer to the Twitch chat. I can come in and be fully focused and rested and stuff. You know, I haven't had to stream for 5 hours before now. So it's, yeah, it's kind of nice. A bit of a different feel. If you kind of watched it when I did YouTube exclusives in the past, then you probably know that these casts are typically a little bit more, like I say, focused, a little bit more analytical, and just, in my eyes, a little bit better all around. And that's because it's, again, focusing on just casting the game rather than being the entertainer and being a streamer and all of that stuff. So if you do like this, let me know down in the comments below if you'd love to see more YouTube exclusive stuff. Maybe if you have any ideas of King of Battles matches or players you want to see, then let me know as well. And of course, if you do end up enjoying, do consider liking the video. And you've got that wonderful subscribe button to see when we go putting more videos online on our regular but daily basis. Make sure you don't miss any of the great games of StarCraft 2 we have. Now, a couple of Lings did run up, and that Reaper got one of them, but one of them does slip by into the main, gets a pretty solid scout. 3rd CC, Starport on the way down. So, you know, it's not going to be any kind of, like, high barracks pressure. It's not going to be anything super crazy aggressive because of the 3rd as well. So Reynor's going to be pretty content. He's going to be able to get his creep spread out on the map. He's going to be able to get this 3rd base operational. He's just going to be very well set at the start of this game. HeroMarine, on the other hand, hasn't really seen anything, but I think for the moment he's just kind of going to be okay. If this obviously was something aggressive, then he's likely to spot it coming across the map with these units anyway, and that's the main thing you want to be seeing. So don't hate it too much for HeroMarine, and I think he's also playing to the fact that it's game 1 of the best of 3. It's Glitter and Ashes, good Zerg map for Reynor. I don't think he wants to crank out a cheese here because he doesn't want to start 0-1 down, have to play on a Terran map number 2. So I think it's a good calculated risk from HeroMarine just to say, right, this is going to be 3 racks. I'm not going to get a lot of 3 CC. I'm not going to get a lot of scouting off, but that's kind of okay. And I mean, he's not going overboard in Hellion production either, who only goes up to 4. He's got a Viking, which if it needed to, could land and help with some damage as well. And of course, you will have a real fast stim here as well. I mean, that wouldn't necessarily help you against a roach attack right away, but it is something that's now going to benefit him for having cut a couple corners earlier in the game. To drop 1-1 upgrades, obviously 3rd CC is ready. So as the reactors finish up, barracks will go to those, Starport will build its own reactor most likely, and with the 3rd CC moving out, we pretty much go straight into barracks number 4 and 5 as well, and that's just very typical of playing 3CC style. On the side of Reynor, he's opting for no evolution chambers early. He will just play to the lair and the Baneling Nest at first. It is lined up, so this Baneling Nest will be able to start Bane speed the moment that lair is done. That's going to be a priority, because if he's not going to be playing with upgrades, he'll have the, he'll be down on upgrades, which means you need the Banelings to be rolling into good, strong fights, because if you're not getting good, strong fights on those Banelings, you're just going to die with 1-1 Marine stimming at you. So you need to have that Baneling speed up and running ASAP. If you have melee upgrades first, you can kind of trade with the Lings a little bit more. They're that little bit tankier, so they can deal with the Marine army that little better early, so you don't need the Bane speed as quick. And that's obviously how it works when you play double Evo upgrades. But yeah, playing the lair and the Bane Nest here, a little bit of a safer style overall, I would say. And on a map like this, maybe he could have gotten away with double Evo upgrades very early on. He is still going to get them here, but, I'm talking about going for these before the lair even starts. And obviously that's not the case this time around, as HeroMarine is actually going to crank out a lot of Marines off this 5 rack. So notice that he's not actually building any SCVs for the 3rd base. He's never added add-ons to these 2 racks that he added on either. This is actually a 1-1 all-in, basically, from HeroMarine. I believe, Halston was telling me about this at one point when I think it was just casting together with him. And I think it's a spirit play, a spirit build order where you make it look very greedy, you make it look very eco at CC first, you take that 3rd base, right? You're just telling the Zerg player, hey, look, this is a very normal game, very standard. You get that Viking, so you clear out the Overlord. So scouting the fact there's no barracks add-ons, the fact there's no 3rd mineral line, these things are difficult to scout because you've set up to deny it. And while there's not been a lot of harass early and this creep spread is everywhere, HeroMarine has one hell of an army right now. 72 army supply to 40. Stainless speed finishing up in a few moments, but it will be 1-1 versus 0-0 for at least the next minute. And the Spire that's building is unlikely to help out in the near future either, as Reynor hits a supply block, losing an initial Overlord here. And yeah, we're just going to carve a path out of this creep. In a lot of ways, this creep to the top and the far left side of the map doesn't matter at all, because HeroMarine's not going to let this game go long enough for that creep spread to matter. Because again, he doesn't have the SCVs to play a long game here. And with 80 drones, the question is Reynor done a little bit too much? I mean, if HeroMarine can't kill him very, very soon, Reynor has a lot of economy and will start to overwhelm. But it's a question of when does that happen? Reinforcements are coming across in chunks, which you'd like to see, because moments like this, oh no, that's actually not great. The Ling Bane did get surrounded over there, and cautious not to miss anything over here as well. I was going to say, the units coming across in chunks is good, because it means like Lings can't just kind of pick off a few units at a time, but that was a great catch. And the Bane's connecting in when HeroMarine clearly just wasn't paying attention. And that's going to slow HeroMarine down a lot. A 30 army supply lead now only. The 1-1 is about to be done from Reynor. That's going to give him a much better helping hand in defending against this. The Feeling's going to come in from the other side, but the Banes aren't here at all. There's a bunch of Banes that were still just morphing. I actually think this is a horrible fight from Reynor. Despite catching all those reinforcements, now that reinforcements have made it over, it's just going to be too much. That tank on the low ground is blasting as well, by the way. 10 kills and into the natural go on top of the Overlord farm. Can these Banelings connect in a magical way? I really don't think they can. I think the Banelings just not being there for this fight really doomed it to be unsuccessful. You could just see that the Lings were dying way too easily. There was a lot of Marines there. And yeah, Reynor just felt that was the moment to strike. Unfortunately, it just really wasn't. And yeah, he is dying off here, because obviously at this stage you're just streaming Zerglings forward. And that's just not going to do it. Take another look at the fight. One of the benefits of when we do these little YouTube exclusive casts, I don't have to rush out of game to make sure that I'm, ready for game number 2 or anything. Make sure I'm not missing an invite. So yeah, if you look back to it, and we'll just speed it up to when the fight happens. So you got these Lings coming in on the counterattack. Yeah, they're kind of hurt already. I really think the issue here is, we start fighting, and +1/+1 is finishing as this fight, I want to say happens, but actually a lot of the stuff is already dying before upgrades are done. Now, I'm not sure how much of a difference that makes. When you look at the link count, it's pretty low across the board. Just across the board, this is a pretty low link count, and I feel like upgrades or not, these Lings die very quickly, but maybe going 2 seconds later would just help you all together, because then these Banelings would be ready as well. There's too much of a gap between these Banes and this group of units that's already connected into the bio. So what happens is all of these units crash in. The Banelings don't do much because there's only 3 or 4 initially. And then that means that these Marines can just fully focus cleaning up the Lings. The Hellions in the back are going to do a great job tanking. And now these Banes are going to come forward way too late. And you can just see that Reynor, he's splitting up. He's going to send them forward, but he basically went in 2 waves. And it's kind of a double whammy, because if he just waited 5 seconds, those Banes can come in together. Yes, you want to avoid splash damage, but I think that's very possible. You don't need that much of a gap. Like, this was the gap. You don't need that much of a gap. This much of a gap would have done, and would have been way more effective, because then it forced the Marines to maybe keep on splitting for a lot longer. Some Banes are more likely to connect. And he would have had 1-1, and that might have just made a little bit of a difference. Maybe a few more Lings last a bit longer on the way into that fight as well. But doesn't happen here. And HeroMarine, fun build, very aggressive build, and works out for game number 1. Picks up the win on Glitter and Ashes, as I mentioned, a bit of a Zerg map, so a great one for him to start up on with a 1-0 lead. Welcome to Berlingrad for map number 2, and this is why winning that first map is so crucial for HeroMarine, because now our blue Zerg top left from Kaiser Gaming, Reynor, he has to win on a Terran map, and well, Berlingrad is absolutely that. It's short, it's got ledges, it's got tank positions for days. It is a good, strong Terran map, and especially for the way HeroMarine likes to play a lot of the time, I imagine this one is going to be quite nice for him. HeroMarine is the red Terran player from Mouse Sports in the bottom right corner of the map. We are going to drop down a depot at the front here as he gets set for game number 2. Thanks everybody for joining and watching today. You know, and again, enjoying the games on the YouTube. This is a YouTube exclusive, unless I rebroadcast it on Twitch later. But yeah, if you do enjoy, do not forget, again, that like button. I know I've told you once, but sometimes people skip over those first few minutes, and now you're like, whoa, I didn't hear you say it before, Wardy, but now I hear you say it now. So yeah, hit that like button. Subscribe if you don't. Would love to hit 40,000. I actually kind of said out loud on my stream the other day, I was like, well, I'd love to be able to push 40,000 YouTube subs. Maybe even next month. I mean, that's a big ask for the rate at which my YouTube's been gaining subs lately. But I really feel if we put some focus on the YouTube and we really keep telling you guys to subscribe, because that's the main thing, then I really think it's possible, because it's just been a long time since I've been able to say, hey, look, guys, this is a YouTube video. You know, make sure you sub. And it makes such a huge difference. So we'll see if that's something that we can realistically go for, as I'm just obviously killing a little bit of time here early game on Berlingrad. But let's talk a bit about the map and dive into the StarCraft. First of all, Marine first opening, no CC first here on this shorter map makes a lot of sense. Even a high ground CC, ooh, this is actually pretty tricky, because this is a real kind of, I mean, this is kind of awkward, because if this Marine is here and this Overlord flies in, the Overlord doesn't want to fly through the Marine, but then you see no CC on the natural, and that would be kind of awkward. Unfortunately for HeroMarine, Reynor is not going far enough forward to actually see this. So the entire benefit of this is basically, oh, you're going to scout no CC, maybe get a bit concerned and overreact, and in reality nothing special is happening, I'm just CCing on the high ground. Well, yeah, in this case, obviously Reynor doesn't scout, so this little play doesn't mean much at all, apart from HeroMarine will have to lift this command center up and drop it down to the low ground. That loses you probably about 1 SCV of build time, so a minor disadvantage there from HeroMarine. Like I say, it had an idea behind it, there was a plan for this. Just doesn't work out here, as our third hatchery will go down. Reactor going to be finishing on the barracks, and 2 additional Marines are already starting up, a Hellion about halfway through. The starport building in the main base as well. So it is a 1-1-1 setup, once again not a 3 racks or anything, which is possible on some of these smaller maps. It's going to be interesting because we're building a Hellion on its own, and we're actually going to be reactoring Marines. I think this means we're probably going to be seeing a Hellbat attack. I know that sounds weird, because it's like, well, the Hellbats aren't going to be in high numbers, but I think it's going to be like a very quick Hellbat attack. It's either that or like a medevac and just like a Marine drop and a Hellion run by, but at that point, why not just add on the armory? You know, I think this is like I say, it should hit very quickly if it's going to hit, and it's just going to hit with a little bit more kind of initial power against Queens and so on, a little bit less splash damage because the Hellion count will be down. Like I say, it doesn't even necessarily need to be Hellbats, I guess, because you can just drop the Marines and run the Hellions in. And maybe that is the overall plan. I'm just looking at the gas, I'm just thinking, well, there's gas for days if you do want to go into an armory, but I guess with only 3 Hellions, it's also not really that worthwhile. And you can, of course, now, you know, Tech Lab. Yep, I was going to say, behind there's a Cloak Banshee follow probably makes the most sense, because you need something that's going to soak up a lot of gas, otherwise it's been very inefficient. And if you start building like a siege tank now, maybe a Cyclone if you really feel like you want the mobility, something along those lines, right? And just get the Cloak Banshees, that's going to do it for you. You can maybe go Raven. Okay, or you're just going to give up the Tech Lab for the barracks to move on to. Like I say, there's still quite a lot of gas. There's just been so much gas here for so long. And I'm sure eventually it's going to be used, but even starting up the tank and stim, you still have 150, 200 gas left. I just thought it was going to be a little bit tighter than that, because you could have just had only 2 workers on each gas instead of 3, and for now you would have been completely okay. And it's only a single engineer in bay 2, which means it's only going to be +1 attack. I mean, it really just feels like there's going to be way more gas always than what's needed. These Marines going to lift up, get back in the medevac. Where the Hellions at? They're back at home just defending the potential run by. I guess we're about to start +1 and double medevacs. Unless this barracks goes to the reactor, which is potentially likely because, let's face it, it's about Marine production right now, and the medevacs could maybe come in a bit later on. So yeah. Okay, I mean, now I'm really obsessing over this gas. Now the gas is still is getting a bit lower, but yeah, just early. There was so much gas to play with, and, you know, like I say, 3 Hellions into Hellbat seems a bit crazy, but, you know, if it hits early enough, that's the question. Does it hit early enough to justify it? Yeah, maybe, maybe not. Probably not, otherwise it would have been a build, right? Anyways, enough of me contemplating what's going on. Let's talk about what is happening. Baneling speed from Reynor. So straight into that lair and Bane nest again. This is going to be aggressive, obviously, from HeroMarine, so I love seeing this Baneling speed early. This is going to help Reynor a whole bunch when it comes to dealing with this aggression. If he was playing 1-1 upgrades, I'd be a lot more worried for him right now, because the slow Banes, if they just get shot down by tanks in a build like this, the 1-1 doesn't matter, because there's just going to be that sheer amount of units so quickly from HeroMarine with that +1 attack, that having 1-1, I think the Lings just melt if the Banes can't get forward, and if the Banes can't ever connect, then, well, yeah, you're just in trouble. So, and it's just likely when there's going to be a lot of tanks and a lot of firepower in this first push of HeroMarine. So the Bane speed, definitely a better choice here from Reynor. Obviously, that's not a choice he really makes off of any information. That's just hey, look, you know, this is game 2, I'm down a game. What do I feel is my safest way of getting into the mid and late game? Because that's probably why I feel the absolute strongest. And it is just plain Baneling speed before double upgrades, so makes sense. Like I say, just does seem to work out well for the build that's currently going on as we lift up the siege tank. So this is kind of interesting. I wonder if we're trying to... I mean, there's an argument that obviously now the medevacs can position the siege tanks where they want, as quickly as they want to. I wonder if there's some potential of, like, trying to hide the tanks here as well for a little while from Reynor, try and just stop him from seeing what is happening. Bigling, Bane wraparound here, potential counterattack or flank. Tank's going to just drop in the front and siege right there. Marine's going to come around this bottom side. This has to be a flank from Reynor. The Banelings do go off. The tank's been in the front, and the Queens have just been working on them for a while. And oh my goodness, this is a complete and utter shutdown. This game doesn't even get to the 7-minute marker. Yeah, this went so wrong so quickly. All this build-up of this attack of HeroMarine, and it just falls apart in a moment. These tanks, they drop down, and I understand you want these tanks in a good position, but now you're kind of... they're just so exposed. Like, look how much damage they take before they've even fired. I mean, this is when they're about to fire their first shot right now. They're about to fire their first shot. One of them is almost dead. The others are 3/4 HP. And then we blow up 2 of them immediately with the help of the Banes. And then you've got the wraparound. I mean, the thing is, the power of this attack is the siege tanks, because the siege tanks are meant to provide so much over time. Yes, if you can have an overwhelming amount of Marines, that can be very scary. But if Reynor just starts morphing a few Banes off these Lings here, Marines alone are just not going to be scary at all. So with these Queens being able to just get the tanks throughout, yeah, I mean, this is why HeroMarine leaves the game right now too, because he knows tanks are gone, this game's basically done. A lot of people might say, well, what, he's 46 versus 52 army supply. Yeah, there's just no power to it anymore. He only has 1 tank on the map. He isn't producing any more tanks. Obviously, this is committed. No 3rd CC or anything. Reynor's on 60 drones. You know, the tanks in the forward siege up position did not work out the way that HeroMarine wanted them to. And that's how Reynor gets to tie up this series. Game number 3, and we go to 2K Atmospheres. Very typical in a best of 3 for 2K to be the last map. Glittering is maybe a bit of a weird one to come through from HeroMarine. He clearly favored playing Glittering than he did over playing like Hardwire. Usually you veto Pride is the guaranteed veto usually from Terrans, then they veto Glittering usually, but this time HeroMarine probably vetoed Hardwire, and so Reynor vetoed Curious Minds and Blackburn. Sometimes you see Blackburn being let through, but yeah, Felongrad was let through this time around, and always fun when you see the players kind of winning on each other's map pick, right? It kind of goes against the idea of what you expect to see. And it just goes to show, obviously, a map isn't a guaranteed victory, and especially the ones that get into the best of 3s are nowhere near kind of favorable enough that one player is just absolutely going to win because it's their map. Yeah, it gives them slight edges, and certain strategies might be that much stronger, but there is no guarantee in that kind of regard, as we do just have a hatchery first from Reynor. Rax Gas here from HeroMarine. It was... Yeah, Rax Gas, just double checking the order of that. And we go into 2K then for game 3. Reynor's top right and HeroMarine's bottom left, just in case you didn't figure it out just yet from looking. You know, some people are like, no, where is my intro? Ah. It's been something we've joked about for a long time. It's such an interesting thing that we kind of go through this. It's just a habit, I suppose, in StarCraft 2 of introducing one player, then introducing the other player at the start of a game. Makes sense. Start of the game is usually kind of, you know, slow and quiet and not too much to delve into. So why not just say, hey, you know, just gonna build up into our, you know, build up our hype, intro the players, get some cheers out in the crowd. Yeah, I hear you all going wild in the YouTube comments for the players as I introduced them in the first and second game, right? I heard all those Reynors and big game, big game. Basically the same as being in a live audience. We are fully saturated on the mains. Drone's going to slip down to the natural. Looks like we are going to move out for a nice quick third base from Reynor as well. So that third hatch coming down real early. Or at least getting the drone in position to be. Because obviously once this Reaper gets here, getting the drone from the natural to the third is more difficult. Now the drone is here. Even if the Reaper went straight here to try and deny it, it could become an extractor. And at least that drone is over there, right? So you get the chance to put it down. And then the Reaper wouldn't be harassing your lings, so that's a benefit. In this case, the Reaper does just harass these lings on the natural. Third hatchery gets to start. And Reynor will be looking toward a ling speed as one of his next little somethings here. You don't want to delay that all too long. 80-second build time. It's going to be done right around that 4-minute mark of this game. And HeroMarine is just going to go back to that 3cc. Now, we've not really seen a macro game between these two. We've not really seen a macro game between these two because HeroMarine has just been aggressive both games. And last time he went very fast 3cc, he turned it into kind of a 2-base all-in. I know he had the third CC, so an extra mule or so, but he never really went past 2-base saturation. It was 47 SCVs. So, you know, 3 SCVs over 2-base most efficient saturation. It's not really much of a third. And really never planned to play a long game from there. We'll see if this time around he's going to approach the game any differently, if he's got a bit of a different idea as to how he'd like to do this. As we do see a couple of Hellions from HeroMarine already starting out across to the upper right-hand side. So they are going to go running, join up with the Reaper. And this Hellion Reaper combo. Gonna loop around and figure out where it wants to try and move in from, or move into. And see if it can get any early drones. There's going to be that Viking again from HeroMarine, so he has the chance to push back some of the nearby Overlords, of course, remove that further scouting. And if nothing else, this might scare Reynor, because now Reynor will always have to keep in mind what happened in game number 1 and think to himself, well, what if it's that 2-base attack again? Well, it's not going to be. Concussive Shells and Marauder means this is going to be a Hellbat attack off the back of the 3cc. And this time I think I can pretty confidently say Hellbats, right? Because what else would we get the Marauders for? Marauders are going to be lifted up into a medevac, and with that medevac, you can drop the Marauders down. They can slow the Queens with the Concussive Shells, and that allows the Hellbats to get on top of the Queens and really take part in that fight. Unless, I mean, the only other way I guess is you then keep the Hellions as Hellions, but they're just so much better as Hellbats. In this sort of situation, with what you're trying to achieve, they are way better as Hellbats than as anything else. A little bit of creep spread going out the front. We do have this Overlord on the right side taking some shots. A few Hellions and a Reaper still sitting in the center. And this Marauder is over halfway done already. As an armory is coming down from HeroMarine in the main base. So again, Hellbats will be able to set up very, very soon. 3 Marauders, 2 Marines, and away we go. Well, Reynor has the game played fairly safe. Banelin Nest, Lair as the initial choices, so you will have Banelings available to build with this. He sees us coming up the right side, and we'll see how quickly he wants to try and start morphing Banes in. That's a lot of Hellions. Here come the Marauders. He's actually going to get a catch on these first Queens. I mean, these Queens are running off to the left side, off of creep, so that was just not where they wanted to run to. 3 Queens go down for very little damage done to these Hellbats or anything. But if we can get on top of those Banelings, it's a risk from HeroMarine because he doesn't know when they start, but he's going to get most of them. Only 2 Banes finish up. They did connect on a couple of Hellbats in the front, but it's going to be pretty powerful. These Marauders need to get forward. They're hitting the hatchery, but they could be hitting Queens already, and again, getting those slows off to allow these Hellbats to get even more done. Now as HeroMarine, I think you want to make sure as well you don't let these Queens kind of sorry, you don't want to get these Hellbats too split apart. You know, when the queens go this way and this way, you don't want your Hellbats to split up because that's when the Lings are going to get good, easy, efficient wraparounds. Well, we're going to continue taking down Banelane after Banelane. A couple going down, make it 3. Okay, some wolfed on the high ground as now we see the good splits from HeroMarine. But with the splits coming in, like I say, it opens up the surface area for these Zerglings to get in and to clean this out. These two Hellbats likely just lift up and back away. Saves the Hellbats over the Marauder. Maybe an interesting choice. I mean, a Marauder is something which is definitely, I think, fair to say that the Marauder is a unit which is kind of not really valued into the mid-game of TVZ. Like, it has its roles, but right now a few extra Hellions are going to be much better dealing with the early link count and potential run-bys. So I can understand saving those over the Marauders as stated. It's a lot of fresh mules, and one of them is trapped in a corner there, will go down, so good catch from Reynor. Lings catch a Hellion on the right side, and he's just getting a little bit of chaos himself now. He dives back in, we get an SCV, I believe, and Reynor just so good at these Lings being all over the place, although it is going to be supply blocked here. We'll need to get working on some Overlords. There's 1-1 upgrades come in pretty much in sync with HeroMarines, and his Bane speed finally getting a chance to start up as well. Now you come out of that, you might be thinking, well, was this good for HeroMarine? Yeah, it really was. He traded efficiently, and he got up to a good work account because he was on the 3rd CC. If this was just off the 2 bases and the 3rd was later, then yeah, I think HeroMarine might be in some trouble. But with the way it played out, it was a perfectly fine trade. It was a good opening wave of harassment. It kept the Zerg player in check. He had to cut some upgrades for it, and it gives HeroMarine a strong chance now of transitioning into that next stage of the game. So I'm pretty happy with what HeroMarine was able to get done here. He didn't have to win the game, you know, off of this attack because it was a 3rd CC Hellbat attack. Like I say, it was absolutely fine for the position he was set up for. As well. Oh no, this Hellbat could have done great things. Reynor realizing he left it behind now as HeroMarine's already pushing up left. Does anyone notice the lack of medevacs? Hello? This is a very brave push. I mean, Reynor should just call his bluff, right? I mean, that's what this is. It's a feign of pressure. These medevacs were not there at all. I understand that Reynor didn't have Bane speed, but he could have done a lot. Oh, SCV murder over on the 3rd base. 21 SCVs going down as the Banes crash in there. We caught the tail end of it, and that is Reynor putting HeroMarine. I mean, HeroMarine now should just be somewhat, I want to say somewhat all in. I mean, his economy is shattered, and he's building a 4th base. He's not rebuilding SCVs just yet. We'll see if he wants to start to. He's on his way. I mean, he's definitely planning for a later game because he's getting drilling claws. There's the SCV production starting back up as a few Lings try and come in on the right side. Well, HeroMarine still wants to push up through the top. Creep team is going down. The Overlord getting picked. I'm just going to be seeing these few Queens. We're going to try and fight. Hellbat's tanking. A couple Banes getting through. One of the Hellbats going down. Widowmine doesn't quite manage to connect. And these Banes keep on moving through, connecting to a lot of the Marines. And just continue to stim on through, and these Queens will continue to get chipped on away. Fans crash in. The rest of this Bioforce coming through. Lings taking extra damage. Queen is going to go down as well. 3, 4, 5, 6 drones all dying as well. A lot of extra Marines going to load back up. Well, back down this direction as we just see the Lings are continuing over here. Going to get a Widowmine shot off on a few different Zerglings. But the problem is, I feel like HeroMarine needed a fair amount out of this. The 6 drones is nice. He's still 20 workers down. I mean, I guess there's the benefit of him having built a 4th base and so on, is that obviously right now, if he wants to continue pushing, he can kind of do so, and he didn't need to end the game. He does have a backup plan. He's actually going to kill this topside hatchery, and Reynor is just going to let it go as a Ling run by is going to hit the bottom side, and that's a good chunk of SCVs that should just die almost straight away here. Units came in, so the force is kind of, you know, made to lift up. Actually saves the SCVs and the command center that isn't morphed into anything for now, so SCVs do get to lift and hide away. Medevacs need to obviously make sure they don't get intercepted by Hydralisks. As Reynor, 80 drones. Could he just set up to go right now? It's kind of tough because these Hydras don't have speed, so being aggressive with them is more difficult than usual. Ling Bane Hydra on the left, Ling run by on the bottom again. Reynor just being so good this game with the Zerglings and just trying to make 2 things happen at once, make this a bad fight for HeroMarine just because he's busy elsewhere. The Bane's actually going to get rid of the base. I mean, that's going to die, so the command center goes down. Oh, we saved this siege tank. Can we save this factory? Doesn't matter, apparently. Lings are back on the bottom side, and HeroMarine's just going to leave. You look at the numbers here, and I think you might... I mean, without the 3rd base, I think it is probably done, right? Because especially because this, okay, it's not a planetary yet. I mean, he could be, what, 3 bases, 64 workers, and then fighting an 80 drone Zerg who has creep spread. Maybe not everywhere, but he has a couple very powerful avenues of creep spread. Like, this creep is all the way up over here. This creep's up over here. Yeah, and he's going to be down on... What's up on the map when he leaves the game? 19 Marines. He does have 6 mines. Maybe could have stuck in and tried it out, but I understand and appreciate that it probably wasn't looking pretty, and he probably does just want to get out of there and maybe focus on the lower bracket, because this is a game where he's very far behind in, so... GG's. Reynor does win this 2-1. This would qualify him then for King of Battles, and like I say, I'm sure we'll cast some more of Reynor's games from the main event of that over the coming days here on the channel, because I know Reynor is absolutely one of those players you guys love to see games from, so... Yeah, I'll be bringing back some StarCraft for you guys day by day. We will have some more World Team League uploads as well, presuming the World Team League this weekend has some interest and stuff in. So a combination of these King of Battles replays and World Team League stuff. Thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you don't already, and I will see you guys next time. Have a great day.